Part 410. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 4091. For Guangming Pope Yuan Juxiang, he is sincere. He hoped that he would have one more familiar person in God's domain. It's just that Yuan Juxiang's posture at this moment is a bit bad. I have cast the god of destruction. I am the favored servant of the god of destruction. When I get to the god of destruction, I can take off on the spot. Your Majesty, the god of destruction can directly make me a god. I am a minister of merit to His Majesty the god of destruction. I'm not like you. Yuan Juxiang's complexion gradually became rosy, and then he gradually became arrogant. The arrogant words were gathered in place, and there was extreme excitement in the depths of his eyes. At this moment, I fell into self-imagining. Anyway, this wave looks very arrogant. As he spoke, the whole person immediately cheered up. With an excited heart and trembling hands, only by experiencing it personally can you understand the refreshing taste of it. All of a sudden, consciousness is reaching its peak. The graceful meaning is gathering little by little. Beautiful, even more ingenious. It's just that Yuan Juxiang's face gradually became sad as he talked. These words, I guess I can only speak to myself. What is the specific situation? Does he really have no points in his heart? It's not that there are no counts, it's just that they dare not count. The sense of fear in his heart swept his whole body, and he was unwilling to face it. The sense of panic deep in his heart was burning in his heart, and gradually, he became completely unconscious. Are you still going to lie to yourself? Can't you express your thoughts in your heart? Is it really interesting to pretend so much? When the sound of emotion came, the bright Pope Yuan Hanlin shook his head, and the whole person fell into a burst of silence. His thoughts wandered, and he couldn't say a word. Thousands of thoughts, everything is silent. Chaos. 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 In the chaos, even the most basic order will completely disappear. With a messy heart, let's talk to someone. In this way, there is really no need to flutter down. I'm afraid you don't even believe these words, do you? How could that god of destruction possibly fall in love with you? What do you have that can attract his attention? What good can you do for him? Can't you ask yourself a question? Obviously, dodging won't solve any problems. At the very end, it will only make you sink in that crazy emotion. So, it doesn't make any sense. Even, it will make you feel desperate. Come on. If you are alone in front of that god of destruction, according to the nature of that god of destruction, I am afraid that you will be wiped out in an instant. The god of destruction will not hesitate, not any hesitation. What you do will have no meaning at all. Come on. After all, they all came out of the temple of the Alliance of Light together. When you arrive in God's domain, everything is strange. It would be a relief to have someone I know well together. Guangming Pope Yuan Hanlin sighed, and then looked at Yuan Juxiang with a sincere expression on his face. These are all from the most sincere emotions in my heart. It was revealed so smoothly, and everything was unspoken. At the moment, these are completely swept away like mountains and seas. That burst of consciousness gradually came into place. Exciting, yet real. You invited me over. It's not that I insist on licking my face and following you. I have a way out. Also, if you really come to God's domain, you can't settle accounts and yell at me. You can't do that. You must give me a way out. The muttering voice followed, and the gnashing of teeth was fully displayed. His thoughts were wandering, and the picture in front of him was being displayed bit by bit. The more I think about it, the consciousness of this destruction is frantically gathering. The more you think about it, the more relevant your feelings become. It is more than words. What should come will always come. Everything is in accordance with the established rhythm, in the frenzy. The feeling is coming, and the thoughts are bursting in place. Yuan Juxiang is still looking for a ladder for himself at this moment, at least so that he will not be so embarrassed. You. It's already at this time, what face are you still pursuing? Come to my master and apologize to my master. My master is not the kind to be unreasonable. Besides, although you rebelled, fortunately, it didn't cause any serious consequences. I'll tell you something nice again. Master will forgive you. Bright Pope Yuan Hanlin nodded, while talking, his face gradually revealed the expression that should have been. These are all from the most real thoughts and ideas in the heart. This wave, bit by bit, followed the show in place. Yuan Juxiang didn't speak, but his behavior has proved everything. He didn't choose to go to the Shinto on the left, which shows that she also knows her position in the heart of the god of destruction, and also knows that if she is in front of the god of destruction, there is a high probability that she will be wiped out directly, and she will not know how to die when the time comes. Yes, the fate is miserable. In this way, he followed Fang Fan to walk the divine way on the right. From his own point of view, he also wants to chase freedom more. As long as there is a way, he doesn't want to be a dog to others. Owner. Please forgive me. I was obsessed with ghosts before. It was all my fault before. At that time, I didn't know what I was thinking at the time, I just wanted to survive, and then, I couldn't help but voted for the god of destruction. Master, I was just trying to survive at that time. Master. Please, my lord, don't remember the mistakes of villains. Please give me another chance. This time, this subordinate will never let you down again. Yuan Juxiang knelt down in front of Fang Fan, talking with a determined look on his face. Good guy, you dare to come here as a traitor. You don't want to live anymore. It pitted us so badly before. Before you were so arrogant, but now you're cowardly. Damn it. You 2 or 5 boys. You're so worthless. Before Fang Fan could speak, Bai Piao's emotions rushed to the top in an instant. While talking, he couldn't help but widen his eyes, and roared wildly from the side. All kinds of words are in place, and the thoughts completely collapse in my mind. What should come will always come. This wave, destroying the consciousness of the whole area, all followed. There was no slave war contract between you and me. You and I are both free bodies. Whatever you want is your freedom. Are you sure you want to serve me now? If you take effect now and rebel in the future, I will let you die without a place to bury you. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 4092. When Fang Fan spoke, there was a hint of hostility in his eyes. In any case, this kind of thing should be made clear beforehand. In this way, if you still insist on taking effect, you can be accepted. If not, what's the point of bringing in a traitor? Everything is said first, and when it is in place, it is basically clear. The matter has come to this point, it is useless to talk too much, the eyes are flickering, and the sense of oppression is particularly strong. That's basically it now. I am willing to surrender. Master Fang Fan, please accept me. Subordinates will definitely sacrifice their allegiance in the future. I only hope that Master Fang Fan can lead me on a path of survival. Yuan Juxiang's complexion turned red involuntarily, and his breathing gradually became rapid as he spoke. The flashes of light in the eyes are flickering, showing the anxious heart at the moment. The more I think about it now, the more impulsive my thoughts become. A sense of sprint, full gathering. If you surrender to me, I will naturally protect you and save your life as much as possible. Fang Fan nodded his head, he recognized Yuan Juxiang. In fact, there are not so many contradictions between each other. As for shouting and shouting, that's even more nonsense. After entering the realm of the gods, these messy grievances can naturally be properly discarded. Walking on the right side of the Shinto, the road became more and more rugged, and when I glanced across it, my heart couldn't help but tremble. Thoughts wandered, and the sense of oppression became stronger. It even gradually transmitted a sense of suffocation. The consciousness of suffocation swirled in his mind, his eyeballs fluttered wildly, and he couldn't even speak a word. As the corners of his mouth twitched, his gaze slowly followed suit. Want to express something, but some can't speak. With a ruddy complexion, the consciousness of the whole person is suppressed in bursts. At the moment of panic, everything is silent. Numb the moment, let's talk to someone. Cough, cough, cough. Fang Fan boy, this road is not good. I feel like I can't go through. What kind of divine way is this? This is clearly a dead end. It's still a blind alley with no end in sight. Stay in this ghost place, I will die of suffocation. Whirring. This is too uncomfortable. Boy Fang Fan. I can't do it anymore. It doesn't make people breathless, how can this work? Although Bai Biao had some random thoughts, he was not just thinking about them. The current situation is indeed more serious. Mo confusedly felt a sense of oppression. His thoughts were wandering, and all his consciousness was about to be completely crushed. On Fang Fan's forehead, streams of sweat dripped down, and the light in his eyes began to flicker frantically. At the moment when consciousness collapsed, thoughts were already collapsing bit by bit. The more I think about it, the more appropriate the feeling at this moment becomes. No matter how difficult it is, you have to go. The harder it is, the more it shows that the road is not polluted. This is the perfect path. If not, it's a dead end. Playing tricks with the god of destruction always requires paying something. Fang Fan narrowed his eyes, and then couldn't help laughing bitterly. While speaking, all kinds of consciousness rushed wildly in his mind. In the dark complexion, the whole person felt a little out of control. Extreme pain swept over, and Fang Fan's body was tearing apart bit by bit. Difficult, too difficult. Insist on keeping up with the master's footsteps. Yuan Juxiang. Don't be lazy there. Bright Pope Yuan Hanlin glared at Yuan Juxiang, then roared. Yuan Juxiang opened his mouth, and there were endless words in his heart that he wanted to say, but in the end they all became speechless. At the moment, the whole person was ignorant, the corners of his mouth twitched, and he couldn't say a word. Oh shit. What? Did I choose the wrong path? Yuan Juxiang murmured to himself, a voice that only he could hear. While speaking, his lips twitched from time to time, with a myriad of thoughts and mixed consciousness, and the wry laughter swept to the extreme. Disaster. Difficult to go to the blue sky? You can't have 3 different masters, can you? What did that become? Isn't that a family slave with 3 surnames? The newly recognized master Fang Fan should lead me to a broad road. Yes. I will definitely. The more it is at this time, the more I can't be reckless. Follow Master Fang Fan, and you will definitely find a bright road. Well. That's right. Trust Master Fang Fan. Yuan Juxiang gritted his teeth, thinking to himself, his breathing gradually became rapid. At this moment, the brilliance in the eyes became more and more bright, and the whole person became more and more excited. In the eyes, a different kind of brilliance gradually flickered, exciting and surging. What should come, will always come. According to the established direction, run amok in an all-round way. Right? That's all. Go on unswervingly. I don't want to go. I want to go back. I would rather take the Shinto on the left, it must be much easier over there. Why do you have to suffer in this ghost place? the divine way on the right is not walked by people at all. Going this way, I'm afraid we didn't get killed by the god of destruction, but we were exhausted to death. I'm so tired, so tired. It's hard to even breathe. And the gravity around here is so heavy, it feels like there are hundreds of millions of degrees of high temperature under the feet. It's scalding to death, it's really going to be scalding to death. What the hell is this? I can't. I really lost my mind. In the end, can you let me go, okay? Please. Please. A murmuring sound followed, and a helpless and aggrieved expression gradually appeared on his face. At the moment when the thoughts gradually collapsed, the whole person instantly became a sand sculpture. Numb on the spot, completely overwhelmed. This next road, in the end how to go on? Gushat, the first-class god general of the Protostian city, now only wants to lie down. I can't walk anymore. I can't move anymore. Too much pain. What kind of beast is this? Ah. This kind of life has the meaning of a hammer. It's numb, it's completely numb. I even thought about throwing it up. Then you go to the Shinto on the left. What's the use of shouting here? Can it be executed? Go straight over there. Then finally got to the end and was captured by the god of destruction. There is a high probability that it will kill you directly. Even if you don't kill you at the first time, you will be tortured little by little, asking about the whereabouts of us people. You will still be dead by then. Although walking on the right side of the Shinto path is a bit bitter, there is hope. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shuyu. Chapter 4093. Cassius, the lord of the Protostian city, snorted coldly, and then said directly. What this wave shows is the most direct will. If you want to die, die quickly. Is it annoying to just babble a few words on your lips? I mean to say. So, what do you care about so much? Really are. Go. Just keep going. Isn't it just another wave of pain? What's up? Anyway, I don't know how many times I have suffered pain before. I have survived all these 99 and 81 difficulties. At the last moment, I can do it. God's domain. God's domain. The whispering sound followed, and the extremely crazy thoughts burst out little by little. At this moment, they are all using their breastfeeding strength to move forward little by little. At the moment when the thoughts burst, one can imagine how bad the mood is. I don't know how long I have been walking in this Shinto. I don't know how many days and months have passed. Gradually, I saw the light. It's light. Really light. Fang Fan felt that his eyelids were fighting crazily, and he really couldn't hold it anymore. The consciousness of the whole person is constantly flying. Fang Fan bit the tip of his tongue, maintaining the last bit of consciousness in front of him. While the footsteps are vain, the consciousness is completely collapsing. Call. It's light. This is the domain of the gods. Fang Fan lay on the ground, looking at this verdant world. The corners of his mouth couldn't help twitching, his whole body was in an extremely comfortable state. Fang Fan didn't dare to delay, and quickly used a healing card for himself to quickly recover from his injuries. The situation here is not optimistic, who knows what accidents will happen. Boy Fang Fan. Be careful. Someone. While Bai Piao was yelling, Fang Fan suddenly felt his shoulders sink, and then his eyes became loose, and the picture in front of him changed immediately. His eyes flickered, but he couldn't say a word. Thoughts wandering in place, feelings become more and more real. The feeling is very real, and the consciousness is also very far-fetched. Fang Fan lost consciousness. The moment before he lost consciousness, Bai Piao kept yelling. And then there is no more. It all ended. It's very numb. Got hacked right after entering God's domain? Who did it? God of destruction? He came after all? So evading, or not evading the God of destruction. This guy is like a nightmare, always surrounding him. Like a disgusting fly, it will fly over and pollute you from time to time. Not much else to say, this time the feeling is in place, probably this is the feeling. Very real and very relevant. All of a sudden, all the feelings were swept to the extreme. Slowly, I don't know what to say at all. Fang Fan didn't know how long he had been in a deep sleep, anyway, when he woke up, there were bursts of heated discussions around him. Wow! This guy is awake. Good guy. You really slept. I slept for 3 whole days. Oh. Those supervisors are really not a thing, they are too ruthless. Hey. Looking at him like that, he must have been dragged here by force. It's too miserable. No way, bad luck. It's just that this cultivation base is not good. No way. No way. Didn't even enter the demigod state? Ants below the demigod state. This doesn't make much sense. Even if this kind of vegetable chicken is brought over, it's useless. Is it possible to expect him to dig blood sausage grass? Tisk. This cultivation level can't resist the evil spirit of this blood sausage grass. At that time, I am afraid that the evil spirit will be directly entered into the body, and then there will be no more. The overseer must have missed his mark. Bring back someone who eats nothing. Eat plain rice? Overthinking. Without fire obsidian, he will definitely die. Hey. If you can't pick blood sausage grass, it means you have no chance to get fire obsidian. It's a dead end. There were bursts of chaotic shouts from around. Fang Fan frowned, he didn't move agitated at the first moment, on the contrary he seemed very quiet. As his eyes flickered, his complexion slowly sank. The first thing that can be determined is that he is not dead. Then here, where is it? He came here through Shinto before, is this God's domain? Fang Fan's gaze scanned the surrounding area without leaving any trace. These people were all dressed in tatters, their faces were haggard, and their faces had no energy. Put them on the street, there is a high probability that other people will treat them as beggars. Because this image is really too much like a beggar. At a glance, the imagery is fully in place. Fang Fan pursed his lips, his eyes flickered, and he couldn't help showing a different expression on his face. While the wool is far-fetched, the more you think, the more appropriate your feelings become. It seems to be still locked down. In terms of feeling, it is extremely deep. They're all demigods. Demigod state, just mixed up like this. A demigod is a beggar. Fang Fan thought to himself, couldn't help but take a deep breath, his expression suddenly changed. It's clearly a whole new world here. Although I'm not sure if it's God's domain, but the level of world civilization here should be much higher than the world Fang Fan stayed in before. After all, in the big world Fang Fan was in before, demigods were always masters. Although later because of the Futuk Palace, many people have been promoted to several levels and have been promoted to the demigod realm, but it is undeniable that the demigods really haven't flooded yet. The strongest is nothing more than the ultimate demigod realm. And these people in front of them are all in the demigod state, which is too scary. Fang Fan scanned around casually, probably only saw dozens of people, and there were already dozens of demigods. Judging by their attire, they are the most unusual existences in this world. Blood sausage grass. Are they here to pick a kind of spiritual grass called blood sausage grass? Or is it a divine grass? Fire obsidian? It seems that this blood sausage grass can be traded with specific people for fire obsidian. With this fire obsidian, you can feel better. After all, it's really cold here. Fang Fan listened silently, and now he has almost figured out a lot of the situation. This is the capital to settle down later. My cultivation base. I remember that in the Buddha Palace, after comprehending the Buddha's heavenly monument, my cultivation base was raised to the 8-star peak sanctuary realm. Now is this actually the Supreme Saint Venerable Realm? Across a large level. Fang Fan couldn't help but his eyes lit up. In any case, it is a good thing that the cultivation base can follow the overall skyrocketing, and my heart is inexplicably excited. The sound of breathing is rapid and in place, and the consciousness is also fluttering a little bit. It is more than words. All in crazy lock. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 4094. Fang Fan's mind couldn't help spinning wildly. When I encountered some strange things, I naturally wanted to try my best to think clearly. It can't just be so muddled all the time. Fang Fan licked his lips, his expression changed, and he felt a little excited for no reason. Directly skyrocketed a big level. There is still a huge gap between the 8-star peak sanctuary realm and the absolute peak saint realm. If one power is 10,000, the other is 1. The boundary gap is too great. My cultivation has skyrocketed, so don't the 6 heroes under my command also take off? Their cultivation base can't exceed 3 levels of mine at most. 3 levels above the Supreme Saint realm, that is the strong demigod realm. A smile appeared on the corner of Fang Fan's mouth, and he still felt very satisfied at the moment. Fang Fan was secretly happy, the corners of his mouth rose slightly, and his eyes gradually brightened. He groped his body with his hands, and his expression changed immediately. The storage ring on him is gone. Some treasures worn at any time are gone. It must have been taken while he was unconscious. This guy has thin skin and tender flesh. I didn't notice it when I was in a coma before. Tisk. It feels quite delicious. I like this. Little boy. In this black forest, labor and management are about to fade away. Today labor and management are going to have a teeth-beating festival. Hey, maybe this kid has something good on him. Whoever sees it has a share, let's go together. Suddenly, the painting style changed accordingly. It gradually becomes creepy. In this wave, I couldn't say a word, cold sweat trickled down my forehead, and my mentality was completely collapsed. Numb. Instant numbness. Fang Fan's complexion turned dark, and he was about to get up immediately, but he really didn't have much strength in his body. After sleeping for several days, his body was a little weak, and now his whole body was numb. A hero does not suffer from immediate losses. Fang Fan took a deep breath and prepared to hide directly. Roll. Don't do those disgusting things in front of labor and management. Grass. At this time, a burly man with red hair came over, his red hair and beard looked very eye-catching. The big man with the beard glared at him, and those malicious cultivators looked at each other. Although they were upset, they didn't dare to go forward. Xiao Nanshan. This matter has nothing to do with you. I advise you not to interfere. We didn't bother you again. The cultivator in the lead gritted his teeth, feeling extremely unhappy in his heart. Baruff. Shut up for labor and management. Are you teaching labor and capital to do things? If you are unhappy, do you have a fight? The bearded man Xiao Nanshan snorted coldly, and the muscles on his body couldn't help but move accordingly, looking very oppressive. Baluf with the scar on his face gritted his teeth. Although he wanted to save his face, he finally retreated. Can't beat it? Not on one level. It's like being hanged and beaten. This wave seems to be unnecessary. Not much else to say, the mentality is gradually stable at this moment. There is no need to say more about the rest. Thank you. Fang Fan looked at Xiao Nanshan, the bearded man, and immediately cupped his hands in thanks. It is not easy to be able to give you a hand in times of crisis. It is natural to know how to be grateful. Don't thank me. I just don't like that disgusting thing happening in front of my eyes. If they drag you outside to fiddle with it, I won't care. The bearded man Xiao Nanshan said coldly, as if he was not willing to accept this thank you. Fang Fan opened his mouth with a complicated expression. Owner. Master, are you awake? Call. Master, how do you feel now? Are you still suffering? Master, this is the fire obsidian, hurry up and use it. At this time, a middle-aged man with blown hair came from a distance, his whole body was dirty, and his eyes were very blood red. Yuan Hanlin. How did you get it like this? Fang Fan took a closer look, and then said with a shocked face. Master, just after we came out of Shinto, we met the supervisor of this mining area. They took a few miners and knocked us out, so they brought us to this ghost place. I saw that the situation was not good at the time, so I surrendered immediately, so I didn't fall into a coma. Master, you were the first one to rush out, and you were knocked out by them. Call. Fortunately, Master, you are fine. Otherwise I'll be cold. Yuan Hanlin took a deep breath, and then sighed. When he was in the lower realm, he was the Pope of the Temple of the Alliance of Light. In the lower realm, it can be said to be the supreme existence. It's just that when he was around the ruins of the gods and the Futu Shrine, because of the threat of the god of destruction, in order to escape, he created the so-called slave war contract with Fang Fan, which is also the contract of the Rage God. In the beginning, Yuan Hanlin was naturally unwilling to sign this contract. He just wanted to fool Fang Fan. He had already made up his wishful thinking in his heart. Sign the contract first, and then talk about it later. Small problems, the kind that don't care at all. But then there were some changes. Because this Rage God's contract can't find any loopholes at all, that is to say, there is no chance to solve it at all. Yuan Hanlin was dumbfounded at the time. Immediately stopped. Originally, he wanted to set up Fang Fan, but he didn't expect Fang Fan to bury himself instead of being set up. How anxious was that mood at that time, you only need to think about it a little bit to know. All kinds of messy hearts are about to burst out. Almost hit him directly. Fortunately, the rhythm and consciousness were stabilized in the end, and there was no direct coldness. As time went by, I don't know whether it was the subtle influence of Rage God's contract, or Yuan Hanlin's direct thinking, but he became more and more loyal to Fang Fan. He even brought Yuan Juxiang to Fang Fan's side at one point. At this moment, Yuan Hanlin and Fang Fan can be said to be a community of destiny. All glory, all humiliation. Fang Fan, the master, is dead, and according to the iron-blooded rules of the Rage God's contract, Yuan Hanlin, the war slave, must also die. Based on this major premise, Yuan Hanlin naturally hopes that Fang Fan can live forever. Where's Bai Biao? What about the rest? We are together, but there are 6 of us. Fang Fan said in a deep voice. Bai Biao, Yuan Juxiang, Gusa of the Protoss, Cassius of the Protoss. Plus Fang Fan and Yuan Hanlin, indeed 6 people. Now only Fang Fan and Yuan Hanlin are left, and the other 4 are gone. I don't know where they got caught. Master, I have seen this mining area, it's just the 2 of us. Yuan Hanlin replied. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 4095. Even you don't know where they are. Then this matter is indeed a bit mysterious. There are a lot of things hidden in here. At this time, don't mess around. Let's figure out the situation here before we talk about it. In the meantime, we must stabilize our mentality. Fang Fan narrowed his eyes, looked at Yuan Hanlin, and said sincerely. Master, don't worry. During the few days when you were in a coma, I have always obeyed their orders and nothing messed up. The miners here are actually quite miserable, and their daily life is very monotonous. Apart from picking blood sausage grass, they are picking blood sausage grass. This area is called the Black Forest. Our current location is probably on the outskirts of the Black Forest. In the Black Forest, there is a very special kind of divine grass called blood sausage grass. It is said that this blood sausage grass can be used to refine a very precious elixir. And the place where this kind of blood sausage grass grows is basically relatively cold. This Black Forest is one of those cold places, where blood sausage grass is abundant. If you just pick blood sausage grass for a long time, you will easily be soaked in the whole body by this cold and evil spirit. If there is no fire obsidian to disturb oneself at this time, the whole person may become an ice sculpture over time. Yuan Hanlin licked his lips, and while speaking, couldn't help but glance at the fire obsidian in Fang Fan's hand. When he came in just now, he gave Fang Fan all his fire obsidian, but now he has none. Fire obsidian. Is this the one? It feels really warm. Did you lose the blood sausage grass grab just now? Fang Fan looked up at Yuan Hanlin, and then returned the fire obsidian to him in his expectant eyes. For now, Fang Fan doesn't really need this thing. So in all aspects, the mentality gradually stabilized. Basically not a big problem. During the complete lockdown, this awareness became more and more intense. The picture in front of me was spinning wildly, and my consciousness was gathering, and I couldn't grasp it for a while. I don't want to. Master, hurry up and use it to keep warm. You just woke up and your body is still weak, but you must not be soaked by this cold and evil spirit. Yuan Hanlin said hastily. Fine. I don't feel anything. Fang Fan shook his head and said calmly. Although the environment here is very cold, but for some reason, there seems to be a strong energy in his body sweeping towards the surface of his skin crazily. Then this cold air was slowly offset. This feeling is especially strong invisibly. Feeling the position personally, that kind of thought is particularly real. By the way, have you been promoted? Have you broken into the false god realm? Fang Fan immediately asked. After all, after he came to this suspected god's domain from the lower realm, his cultivation level skyrocketed, from the 8-star peak saint realm to the absolute saint venerable realm. So Fang Fan wanted to see if other people were like this. Are there any similarities between them? In all respects, this feeling is quite appropriate. All kinds of feelings are sweeping across, and consciousness is bursting out bit by bit. No. No. Master, it is not so easy to break through the pseudo-god realm. Among the several supervisors in this mining area, it is said that only the biggest supervisor is a false god. The rest of the overseers are all at the top of the demigod realm. After all, Yuan Hanlin has been here for a few days and knows a lot of news. Such food. Is the strongest supervisor a pseudo-god? Is this God's domain? Fang Fan was stunned for a moment. He thought that in God's realm, at least all started in the pseudo-god realm. Then the real gods walk all over the place, the quasi-gods are as numerous as dogs, and the false gods are just dust. I didn't expect that the pseudo-god realm seems to have a good status here. Good boy. What a big breath. At this time, Xiao Nanshan, the bearded man who had helped Fang Fan just now, couldn't help but walked over and groaned. While speaking, his eyeballs rolled, and a look of disdain was immediately revealed. This is basically the attitude that is displayed now. True and clear. Perfect. Forward. Who the hell are you, kid? You haven't even entered the demigod realm yet. Why is this guy at the top of the demigod realm calling you master one by one? Can you still recruit servants who are at the top of the demigod realm? Are you the son of the family? Xiao Nanshan flicked his red hair, and when he spoke, his face could not help showing surprise. Just looking at it like this, the feeling seems very real. Basically that's how it feels. Consciousness sweeps in place, understands everything. As clear as ever. For it. Fang Fan opened his mouth, not knowing how to explain. Who are you? Seeing Xiao Nanshan approaching, Yuan Hanlin immediately became vigilant, and then stared at Xiao Nanshan, putting on a defensive posture. Hanlin, come back. Brother Nanshan just helped me out. People are kind to me, don't be rude. Fang Fan looked at Yuan Hanlin and said. Xiao Nanshan could tell that Fang Fan was not willing to explain his background, so he didn't ask any more questions. It's just that his pair of eyes glanced at Yuan Hanlin from time to time, and he didn't know what he was looking at. Never mind. You don't want to talk more about your background, so let's not talk about it. Who hasn't had a hard time yet? Although you didn't say it, I can tell from your bearing that you are not an ordinary person. I don't know how to call it. The bearded man Xiao Nanshan was willing to communicate with Fang Fan at this moment, which was quite different from the attitude he had shown before. The reason why he had such a change was mainly because of the arrival of Yuan Hanlin. It can only be said that even the God realm is the same, in fact, it is very realistic. Because Yuan Hanlin is in the supreme demigod realm, which is the same as this bearded man Xiao Nanshan in terms of realm, so this bearded man feels that Fang Fan needs to communicate. If not, I'm afraid I will still be as indifferent as before. Human feelings are cold and warm, that's probably the case. If you are valuable enough, people will come to communicate with you and talk to you. In many cases, the so-called friends, isn't it because of this kind of interest relationship that is fully locked in? Invisible reveals reality. Fang Fan squinted his eyes, and the brilliance in his eyes flickered more and more, his thoughts drifted away, and the sense of oppression became stronger and stronger, all kinds of consciousness were fully mobilized, and everything was silent. My name is Fang Fan. Fang Fan nodded and said. No matter what, Fang Fan was very grateful for the help he had given him. Brother Fang Fan. Here from now on, better take it easy. Well. It's best not to let him call you master, otherwise it will easily attract the attention of those overseers, and then it will be bad. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 4096. The bearded man Xiao Nanshan swept his gaze around, and then he whispered in Fang Fan's ear secretly. When talking about this, his complexion was flickering, and all kinds of consciousness were a little bit out of control. Fang Fan didn't say much, just nodded slightly. Learn. Fang Fan nodded, he naturally understood this truth. People are knives and I am fish. In this case, if you still want to go wandering, you can only say that you are looking for death, and you can't blame anyone. When the time comes to be beaten to death, it is purely you who are trying to die. Fang Fan licked his lips, his eyes flickered, and his thoughts burst out. For the next few days, Fang Fan went out to pick blood sausage grass with Yuan Hanlin during the day, handed in the blood sausage grass at night, and then exchanged for a little fire obsidian to barely survive the cold night. Although this kind of day is a little numb, it is finally peaceful. For the first 3 or 2 days, it was okay. But as time went by, Fang Fan's outer skin had been frozen off. The evil spirit of blood in the blood sausage grass gradually penetrated into the surface of Fang Fan's skin, making his entire face gradually turn purple. After all, his cultivation base is still a little low. At present, it is only the Supreme Saint Venerable realm, and has not even stepped into the semi-god realm. So resistance or something, some can't grasp it. During the day, after Fang Fan and the others went out to look for blood sausage grass, the supervisors followed them all the time. In the past few days, Fang Fan has almost explored the situation of those supervisors. There are thousands of workers in the whole area, but there are only 5 or 6 supervisors. The leader of the overseers is a pseudo-god, and the other supervisors are all demigods. Just relying on these few people, it frightened thousands of practitioners who picked blood sausage grass. I can't stay in this ghost place any longer. Bai Piao doesn't know where she is yet. If you stay in this ghost place, you don't know how long it will take. You can't improve your cultivation here. And I have to endure the torment of the blood evil spirit every day. If this is the case, it will be difficult to improve your cultivation in this life. This kind of life is obviously not what I want. Change, must change. If there is no change, the situation will completely collapse. Fang Fan squinted his eyes, thinking to himself, his thoughts gradually exploded in his mind, and the sense of rhythm was gradually revealed. The more I think about it, the stronger this feeling becomes. Just now, you can't run around. After all, these supervisors have been watching. If they find out that I am going to run away, they will definitely not let me go. If possible, you can temporarily escape to the small world of Shushan Pavilion to escape. It's just that I don't know where to go right now. The current location is on the outskirts of the Black Forest, but inside the Black Forest, I don't know what there is. If you want to run away, you don't even have the most basic orientation. Fang Fan shook his head and couldn't help sighing. This time the eyes flicker, meaning is being completely destroyed. The deeper the feeling, the more flickering the eyes. Gradually, this mentality was a little out of control. Although Fang Fan had the idea of leaving in his heart, he hadn't found a good opportunity yet. So it has been delayed. On this day, Fang Fan and Yuan Hanlin went to collect blood sausage grass as usual, repeating the work day after day. Just when Fang Fan was concentrating on being a picker, Yuan Hanlin suddenly walked over with an excited expression on his face. "Owner! There is a colorful divine grass over there. It's shining now. This is definitely not an ordinary divine grass. This is definitely 10,000 times more precious than the blood sausage grass. Although I can't see through its grade, the surrounding divine power is about to be squeezed out by this divine grass. Master, do you want to do this ticket?" Yuan Hanlin approached Fang Fan, and then said in a low voice. While speaking, his eyes couldn't help trembling, his breathing gradually became quicker, and all kinds of consciousness were expanding in an all-round way. Colorful divine grass. Fang Fan's eyes lit up. Has this boring day finally brought something new? Apart from picking blood sausage grass, is there any new fun? Following the guidance of Yuan Hanlin, Fang Fan came to the colorful spiritual grass. It's very quiet here at the moment. There are no wild beasts around to guard the divine grass. This divine grass has 7 leaves, and each leaf is different, presenting 7 colors of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, blue and purple. Under the scorching sun, the leaves shone with a different kind of light. In the twinkling of eyes, the consciousness of the whole person is completely destroyed. This wave, I don't know what to say at all. All consciousness is being completely cleared. Treasures. Pick quickly. Walk. Fang Fan saw that the 7-colored divine grass had matured, and then picked it in place with lightning speed, and prepared to leave here. What are you doing? What did you get just now? Hand it over. Just now I seem to have seen a divine light flash past. Is there a strange treasure coming out? Hand it over. Or die. At that moment, 2 men in uniforms of supervisors strode over, looking at Fang Fan and Yuan Hanlin viciously at this moment, as if they were about to do it directly. There is nothing to say between each other at all, it's just beating up, it's that direct. The overseer didn't come. They are two small overseers who are at the top of the demigod realm. Master, do you want to give it a go, a bloody battle? Yuan Hanlin gritted his teeth and insisted from the side. No. We have been mining for too many days, and our bodies are still weak. These supervisors are waiting for work, which is not something we can fight against. And if you fight against these two small overseers, it will definitely attract the attention of the pseudo-god level overseer. It won't be easy to leave by then. Be quicker. Go. Into the Black Forest. I was planning to leave, but I didn't make up my mind. Now, it just happens to help you make up your mind. Otherwise, I will delay in this ghost place. So, there is no need for this. Fang Fan narrowed his eyes, thinking to himself, his thoughts gradually exploded in his mind. In this wave, the consciousness of mobilization is particularly strong, and the pace is faster. The speed was raised to the right place, and immediately praised crazily. Following Fang Fan's signal, Fang Fan and Yuan Hanlin ran at the same time. Plunged into the Black Forest. Dare to run. Court death. The grass slave has run away. Quick. Catch it back. Stop. Stop. The two overseers frantically pursued. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 4097. How can we stop at this time? Run first. The movement here gradually became louder. Fang Fan also appeared to be deeper. Hey. Brother Fang Fan, I knew you were unwilling to be alone. Sure enough, it's exactly as I guessed. Walk. Go together. It just so happens that the King of Hades is not here today. Not far away, a strong man suddenly appeared. At the first moment, Fang Fan thought that another supervisor had come to chase him down. At that time, I was really scared, and I was about to run away directly. Brother Nanshan. You are. Go to. Fang Fan said in bewilderment. Certainly. I've had enough of this kind of ghost place. Ah. If I hadn't been afraid of the living King of Hades, I would have slipped away. After waiting for decades, the living Hades finally left for once. Hey. If you don't run today, when will you be? If this living Hades doesn't leave, I'm going to ask Brother Fang Fan to force his way out together. The bearded man Xiao Nanshan looked very talkative, and his eyes were shining brightly as he spoke. At the moment, it is completely excited. The living Hades mentioned by Xiao Nanshan passes the great overseer here, that is, the existence of the false god realm. A strong man in the pseudo-god realm is pressing on the top of his head, and he is indeed a little unsure. Dare to mess around? Of course I dare not. While the two were talking, the two overseers at the top of the demigod realm had already galloped over there. At the moment, it is completely a relentless attitude. Grandma has a leg. Don't give up. What are you doing? What are you doing? As for what? Bastard thing. Brother Fang Fan, or let's go back and kill them. Brother Fang Fan just asked the servant next to you to help me intercept one of the supervisors. I'll kill the other overseer first. The bearded man Xiao Nanshan snorted, his fighting spirit burst into place. Okay. Yuan Hanlin, do what Brother Nanshan says. Fang Fan nodded and said directly. At this time, it would be best if they could cooperate with each other. As long as it can resist these overseers to the greatest extent. It doesn't look like that if these overseers keep chasing them. If they can be completely terminated here this time, it will naturally be a great thing. As long as these are stabilized, they can take off. For a moment, the light in the pupils kept flickering back and forth. Stimulation is in place, everything goes without saying. What should come will always come. Only when the thoughts are stabilized can we have a broader future. Swift Strike is about to start. Exciting, surging, and realistic. The consciousness of invincibility is so refreshing. They are all in the top demigod realm, and there are 2 top demigods on both sides, so it is quite normal to fight evenly at the first time. In an instant, the scene was shocked. Of course, even in the same realm, there is still a gap in combat power. Although Yuan Hanlin can be regarded as an old-fashioned demigod, it is still a bit difficult to face the supervisor of the demigod. This is probably the most basic gap between practitioners from the lower realm and the god realm. Practitioners in the lower realms are very stingy when it comes to using divine power, and they don't dare to mess around. This is also their limitation. After all, when one was in the lower realms, aura was still thin, let alone divine power. But in this god realm, this divine power can be used blindly, and no one is sure about it. Such a feeling completely overwhelmed everything. The real artistic conception is sweeping across the board. What should come will always come. Gradually revealed some different style. Brother Nanshan's fighting power is really strong, quite brave, like a giant bear. Right now, he has already defeated the supervisor of the same level. Fang Fan was watching the battle from the sidelines, locked on the overall situation. As he spoke, his eyes couldn't help flickering, his thoughts were wandering, and his consciousness was fully gathering. The more I think about it, the more abrupt this feeling becomes. In the locked consciousness, what should come will always follow. Fully burst out with clear consciousness. When this wave is displayed, it still looks very refreshing. Roar. Xiao Nanshan roared like a beast. Immediately following, his fist fell crazily. Boom. A punch hit the supervisor's body successfully, and the supervisor's head exploded instantly. Brains burst out. It was completely terminated without even releasing the painful wailing. This wave really looked a little miserable. With such an appearance, I was completely stunned. The cool moonlight is surging. So real. It feels so real. Coming. Those who should come, all follow. This wave is so invincible. The other supervisor was horrified when he saw his companion was beaten to death. Naturally, he had no intention of continuing to fight here at the moment, and then frantically wanted to escape. Want to escape? Is it possible? Die. Roar. Xiao Nanshan pounced on it like a heavy tank, punched down, and the second supervisor was also killed. Yuan Hanlin has been paddling until now, and he is a little confused at the moment. So strong. Owner. We have to be careful with this guy. This guy is more dangerous than those 2 overseers. Yuan Hanlin took a deep breath and couldn't help showing a defensive look on his face. While his eyes flickered, he couldn't help swallowing saliva frantically, his thoughts were in a mess, and his consciousness was being destroyed bit by bit. The flickering is in place, the thoughts are fluctuating, and it is completely difficult to control myself this time. Rhythm, chaotic present. Ha ha ha. Happy. I've seen these overseers upset for a long time. Today can be regarded as a killing spree. Brother Fang Fan, thank you for your help. There is also that brother, called Yuan Hanlin, right? Thank you too. The big man with the beard flew up and said with a hearty smile. It's okay, everything should be done. We're also doing it for our own protection. Fang Fan nodded slightly. At this moment, Yuan Hanlin looked at Xiao Nanshan still very vigilantly. By the way, brother Fang Fan, when the 2 supervisors were chasing you just now, what strange treasures did they say? Did you find any rare treasure here? Xiao Nanshan scratched his head with a simple and honest look. But if you judge people by their appearance, and if this guy is very simple and honest, then you are really looking for death. After so many years of honing in this ghostly place, and being able to kill two existences of the same level with ease, one can stay dormant for decades. Can he be an idiot? The idiot is long dead. It's not a rare treasure. It's just a few god grasses. Fang Fan shrugged and said with reservations. He didn't take out the colorful divine grass, but just mentioned it. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 4098. Although it was said that they collaborated to kill the supervisor just now. But it doesn't mean you can entrust it at will. Who can say for sure about this kind of thing? Here, interests are all entangled everywhere. Under the full support of the relationship of interests, it will really eat people. If you are not careful, you may be completely swallowed. Oh, so that's the case. Xiao Nanshan's eyes flashed, and then he said a few words. At this moment, his expression was changing, and his thoughts were flying ahead. The rhythm is sweeping madly. Let's go. Through the dark forest, we are safe. Xiao Nanshan shrugged and said with a smile. This black forest, isn't that easy to get through. We're always on the periphery these days. Fang Fan murmured. Crossing this black forest can also be said to be an adventure of a narrow escape. In the depths of this black forest, I don't know how many monsters are hidden. If you are not careful, you may be completely swallowed up. So, be careful with it. Whether you can survive depends on whether your life is hard enough. Call. Anyway, there is no better way. This time, the leader of the overseer is not alive, so we can get a chance to escape. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't dare to make up my mind to leave at will. If you don't grasp the opportunity to escape this time, you don't know how long you will have to wait. If it really comes to that time, it will really be completely terminated. If that's the case, it's meaningless. Lenbo on the spot, a dead end. A murmuring sound followed, and the picture in front of him was being fully locked. The more you think about it, the more relevant your feelings become. For a time, it was sweeping like mountains and seas again and again. The bearded man Xiao Nanshan gritted his teeth, showing the aura of a tough guy. Fang Fan silently nodded, actually agreeing with the big bearded man. Things have developed to this point, and there seems to be no better way. Instead of just sitting here and waiting to die, it's better to go for a gamble. What if it works? If it succeeds, even if it is completely escaped from here? At that time, it will be a brand new life. If you continue to stay in this ghost place, you will not have much development in your life. Along the way, Fang Fan and Xiao Nanshan walked forward as much as possible, so as to minimize their sense of existence. After a wave, they also encountered some low-level monsters. Overall, it's relatively safe. The night was gradually falling, and it seemed that it was already night. There is a vigil at night. Can't sleep too hard. At night, anything can happen. Those supervisors probably won't come after them, but the monsters here should pay attention. If you are not careful, you may be attacked. So be more vigilant. You can't wave, you must be steady. Stability is the first. The murmuring to himself followed, and Xiao Nanshan's expression gradually changed significantly. Now it's time to cheer up. Absolutely, absolutely no more mistakes. Can't afford to make mistakes. If it's messed up, there's nothing left. In the middle of the night, the howling of wolves followed. It's the shadow Sirius. Be careful. This beast is poisonous. If you get bitten, you will feel dizzy. Can't wave. As soon as Xiao Nanshan's complexion changed, he rushed towards the position of a shadow Sirius, crushed directly, and then began to strike wildly. A sense of chaotic oppression swept over, inexplicably shocking. The picture in front of him was spinning crazily, and his consciousness gradually became less clear. For a moment, an extreme sense of confusion came, and his thoughts suddenly burst out. Chaos! 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 In front of him, a dozen or so shadow wolves were following like shadows, rushing towards them frantically at this moment. When bouncing, it is full of explosive power. All of them are in the strong demigod realm and the peak demigod realm. Brother Fang Fan, you have to be careful. It's not easy. If there is a slight deviation, it will be chaotic. After Xiao Nanshan finished speaking, he rushed forward, and immediately started fighting with these shadow wolves. Fierce battles are underway. Yuan Hanlin is also in the top demigod state. This wave also rushed forward. Ling Lai's attack has already formed. The crazy battle broke out at this moment. Crash! Keep hitting. For a time, it is a bright spot. At the moment, the picture in front of him changes rapidly, and his consciousness is also being crazily contained and compressed. At the end, I was cold on the spot, speechless. At this moment, a shadow Sirius took advantage of the situation and rushed towards Fang Fan's position. Fang Fan glanced at it, and was sure that he would not be able to beat him. At this time he has two choices. Either run away, or release a few heroes or the top 10 legions, let them fight to the end here. Fang Fan blinked, thought carefully, and decided to run away. Xiao Nanshan is still here, there is no need to reveal his whole cards at this time. Running to a remote place, Fang Fan made a thought, and then his whole body has entered this consciousness. The picture in front of me was changing wildly, and the light flickered, as if everything was going to be completely wiped out. With an excited heart and trembling hands, only by experiencing it can you understand the true meaning. Fang Fan entered the small world of Shushan Pavilion to take refuge temporarily. Roar! Shadow Sirius shook his head and watched his food disappear just like that, with a look of bewilderment on his face. Was he still here just now? Is he in hiding? Roar! Shadow Sirius continued to growl anxiously, but didn't think much of it, and then turned his head to attack Yuan Hanlin and Xiao Nanshan. Xiao Nanshan's attack power is really too strong. The 10 or so strong demigods and the top demigods were basically killed by him. As soon as he made a move, everything was wiped out. All of a sudden, all the formations were crushed into place, which made people feel thrilling inexplicably. For a while, I didn't know what to say. The whole person is in anxiety and numbness. The mentality collapsed, the consciousness was destroyed, and the rhythm was even more chaotic. So strong. Yuan Hanlin took a deep breath, thinking about it in his heart, and silently wrote it down in his heart. Looks like I have to be more careful in the future. If this guy suddenly confronts him and his master, with his power of Yuan Hanlin, I'm afraid he really can't handle it. To some extent, this is not a level of combat power at all. They are far from each other. In this way, I naturally have ideas and solutions in my heart. By the way, where's the master? At this moment, Yuan Hanlin remembered that he hadn't seen Fang Fan for a long time. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 4099. At the same time, Xiao Nanshan also walked over from the side, with a more or less strange look on his face. Brother Fang Fan is missing. Could it be that Brother Fang Fan was attacked by other shadow wolves when we were fighting those shadow wolves just now? So it's more ominous than good luck. Brother Fang Fan has never entered the demigod state after all. Xiao Nanshan frowned, then made assumptions aside. Impossible. I'm not dead yet. It's impossible for the master to be okay. Master must be. Yuan Hanlin originally wanted to say that Fang Fan was in the small world of Shushan Pavilion, but after thinking about it, his eyes flickered slightly, and then he didn't say it completely. At least for now, one cannot fully trust Xiao Nanshan. Who knows what this guy is thinking in his heart? In case something goes wrong, it will be really cool on the spot. Not necessary. You should also gradually stabilize your mentality. Can't mess up. One destroys all. At that time, these will be completely destroyed. The cool moonlight is set for the moment. Brother Nanshan, I'm here. I was chased by the shadow Sirius just now, and I accidentally ran a little farther. Fang Fan shrugged and smiled. Is it? Naturally, Xiao Nanshan is not a fool. He glanced over at this moment, and more or less saw some clues. Fang Fan is definitely not as simple as he imagined. Brother Fang Fan's ability to hide his body is too strong. Suddenly disappeared, and suddenly appeared. If it wasn't for Brother Fang Fan, would he be the true god in the legend? He. I have never met a true god once. Xiao Nanshan raised his eyebrows, his thoughts were wandering, and his expression was unpredictable. At this moment, there was an extremely complicated expression in the eyes looking at Fang Fan. Ideas gather in place, and everything is spoken. Interesting, really interesting. Brother Nanshan really knows how to joke. Fang Fan smiled and didn't say much. Sometimes it is enough to just exchange a glance with each other, so that each other's thoughts and ideas can be recorded in place. Indeed, there is no need to say too much. This kind of thing is good to know. After the attack just now, Fang Fan and Xiao Nanshan didn't feel sleepy at the moment, and then continued to move deeper into the Black Forest. It is not yet known how far the Black Forest is. Walking around, going through untold hardships. That taste is really not that good. In the darkness, gradually saw the light. The vast sea. There is a vast sea ahead. There is no way at all. Have we always been on a dead end? This sea can't see the sky at a glance. Even if it keeps flying, I don't know how long it will take to fly. In case the spiritual power is exhausted halfway, wouldn't you have to wait here to die? Yuan Hanlin looked up, and couldn't help sighing from the side while talking. Right now the situation does look a little less optimistic. Make a raft. Slide over slowly. Fang Fan pondered and said directly. This should be the most reliable way at present. The three found some stumps and tied them together, and a small raft was formed. Immediately began to drift on the sea level. I don't know how long it has been floating, anyway, the sea really seems to be boundless. Fang Fan was going numb. Is this God's domain so lonely? What the hell is this place? There's a boat ahead. Big boat. Yuan Hanlin suddenly shouted excitedly. Fang Fan looked up and saw a large sailboat galloping towards his position. At the same time, the people on the treasure ship were also amazed at the existence of the small raft. Ma'am. Look. There are actually people crossing the river on a small raft. This is too difficult. A person dressed as a maid couldn't help but followed in surprise. It really is. It should be a victim. Probably because the big boat was robbed, so I can only take this small raft. Relying on this small raft, they might be swallowed by the waves at any time. Housekeeper, let's move closer and let them board the boat. Saving a life is better than building a 7-level pagoda. Hey. It can be regarded as accumulating virtue and doing good deeds. The glamorous lady in brocade and silk raised her eyes, then followed her. Soon, the small raft where Fang Fan and others were on was connected to the big boat. My wife said, let you come to our boat for shelter. My wife is a bodhisattva, please don't make trouble. A man dressed as a housekeeper came over and gave some instructions. Fang Fan's eyes were slightly concentrated, but he didn't say much, just walked over. None of their cultivation bases have been promoted to the demigod realm. What's happening here? Even, they don't have any cultivation. Not even the saint realm. Like a mortal. Could it be that we have crossed the entire god realm and come to a new lower realm? Fang Fan opened his mouth, and the corners of his mouth twitched at this moment, and black lines flickered across the entire area of his forehead. What the hell is this mess? Chaos. Too messy. Brother Fang Fan, whoever told you that people in the god realm must have cultivation? The god realm is extremely vast, and there are all kinds of existence. Isn't it normal that there are some practitioners who have no cultivation base? In the god realm, there are actually only 4 realms in general. Demigod, false god, quasi-god, and true god realm. As for those below the demigod state, they can be regarded as mortals. It's probably just a mortal with stronger power. Xiao Nanshan shrugged, followed by the explanation. While talking, Xiao Nanshan suddenly shut up, and then looked at Fang Fan with embarrassment. Brother Fang Fan, what? I didn't mean to target you. I know that your bones are unique, and your achievements in the future will be limitless. As for the moment, it's just been suppressed for a little while. It's nothing. Sooner or later, a talented man like Brother Fang Fan will jump back again. Xiao Nanshan's eyes flickered, and he quickly followed up. At the very least, don't be so embarrassing. Embarrassment, a miracle happened. Fine. What Brother Nanshan said is also true. Fang Fan waited for the 3 of them to board the boat together. The butler-like man seemed very upset, and the attitude of Fang Fan and the 3 of them was also cold. Fang Fan didn't care, he just wanted to follow the ship to a place with crowds. Really can't sail in this ghost place any longer. No one knows how long they have been gliding on the sea with a small raft. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 4100. As for the lady who let them trade the ship, she didn't show up either. What a beautiful woman. Xiao Nanshan's eyes suddenly lit up, and he couldn't help but exclaimed. Following Xiao Nanshan's gaze, he saw a glamorous lady in a gorgeous gown walking on the deck of the ship. Her figure was indescribably slender. The whole body is full of intellectual beauty. With just such a glance, the whole person seems to be immersed in it and cannot extricate himself. Slowly, consciousness is frantically gathering. With his expression changing, he didn't know what to say anymore. Even though Fang Fan had seen countless women, he couldn't help but nodded when he saw this lady. Seemingly noticing the gazes of Fang Fan and the others, the lady couldn't help raising her head and glanced at Fang Fan and the others. Seeing the bearded man Xiao Nanshan at this moment, he was startled for a moment, and seeing Yuan Hanlin's haggard face, he couldn't help but take a step back. When the eyes shifted to Fang Fan, the lady's heart moved secretly, and there seemed to be a sparkle in her beautiful eyes. What a handsome gentleman! The lady couldn't help but look at Fang Fan a few more times. Suddenly she seemed to think of something, and then she turned her head away with a shy expression. Fang Fan touched his nose, feeling a little embarrassed. For the next few days, Fang Fan and others lived in the treasure ship. Food is delivered every day. I don't know why, but after entering the god's domain, Fang Fan seems to be unable to fast. He must eat something every day, otherwise he will feel very uncomfortable. It is indeed amazing that one side of the soil and water supports the other. I haven't seen that lady these days, and I don't know how she is doing. During the voyage of the ship, Fang Fan did not delay, and has been seizing the time to practice. Waking up from a big dream, Fang Fan's eyes flashed with extreme brilliance. Breakthrough. The Absolute Holy One's breakthrough has led to the quasi-demigod realm. Although the quasi-demigod state can only be regarded as the lowest level in this god's domain, for me, it is a great fortune. A great surprise. Fang Fan took a deep breath, and at the same time, he couldn't help showing a look of doubt on his face. Promoting to the demigod realm, Shouldn't there be a demigod lightning calamity? Only by overcoming the thunder tribulation can you be promoted. It's just this thunder tribulation, where is it now? Fang Fan's eyes scanned the surrounding area with a look of astonishment. That's right, this thunder calamity was originally the god's domain descending to the lower realm. Now that I am in the god realm, who can come down to me? Perhaps there is no thunder tribulation in the god realm at all. Or in the god realm, being promoted to the demigod realm is just a small achievement that everyone can achieve. Such small achievements are not worth mentioning at all. Naturally, no one cares. Fang Fan narrowed his eyes, thinking to himself, his eyes fluttered slightly. Although it is only speculation at the moment, it should be true after thinking about it. Judging according to the established thinking, it should be like this. Brother Fang Fan was promoted. Xiao Nanshan came over, and felt the changes in Fang Fan's body at this moment, with a look of surprise on his face. You must know that the promotion of one's cultivation often takes hundreds of years and thousands of years as a span. So every promotion and cultivation base is worth celebrating. In addition, from the mortal realm to the quasi-demigod realm, it is considered to be out of the mortal body at the beginning. At this time, in the realm of the gods, there is a certain place to stand. Faced with Xiao Nanshan's question, Fang Fan did not hide anything, and nodded very calmly. For him, this is normal. It's not a big deal. There's really no need to make a fuss about it. For the next few days, Fang Fan was consolidating his cultivation and didn't go out much. And this treasure ship is still sailing at full speed. How vast is the sea area? Fang Fan didn't know before, but now, he has a preliminary understanding. Pirates. There are pirates. Get up, everyone. Get up. Don't sleep. The pirates are coming up. Get up and kill the pirates. Get up. For a moment, the sound of anxiety swept across the board. Everyone woke up from their sleep. Fang Fan, who was meditating, suddenly had a bright light in his eyes, with a murderous intent flickering in his eyes. Immediately, Fang Fan and Yuan Hanlin went out of the house, and saw that 7 or 8 smaller pirate ships had already surrounded the big pirate ship. At the moment, these pirates are frantically hooking iron hooks on the railing of the big ship, then frantically climbing the ropes, and then rushing to the ship. These pirates looked very fierce and killed anyone they saw. They're all mortals. There is no cultivation base. Xiao Nanshan walked over from a distance, and while talking, he shrugged indifferently. In Xiao Nanshan's view, those below the demigod level are mortals. Although these islands are all below the demigod level, their combat power is obviously much stronger than the sailors on the ships. This is a one-sided massacre. Blood swept across the sky. Looking at it at a glance, the smell of blood is so strong that it makes people feel numb and crazy. For a moment, my thoughts wandered, and I couldn't say a word. At the moment when the consciousness collapsed, the rhythm was completely taken astray. This wave is completely unknown. After eating so much, it's time to pay back. Hanlin, go up and help me. Fang Fan looked at Yuan Hanlin, and then ordered. At the same time, Fang Fan himself swung the Heaven Zhan sword and went straight up to kill the quartet. He has now been promoted to the quasi-demigod realm, and his cultivation realm and so on are all in place. Facing a group of cultivators below the demigod level is indeed as simple and casual as cutting melons and vegetables. In such a battle, there is no pressure at all. At a glance, the whole person looks very relaxed. All over his body, that kind of indifference surged in his heart, and the smile on the corner of his mouth remained the same. It feels wonderful. Fang Fan licked his lips, thinking to himself, his thoughts suddenly exploded in his mind. At this moment, when fighting against these pirates, it is still in the land of no one. The wind is blowing. There are gods here. Can't fight against it? Not all pirates are fools. Seeing that they can't beat them, they naturally know how to escape. They can't go all the way to the dark, right? One by one, they were all greedy for life and afraid of death. The panic in their pupils was beyond words, and then they fled in all directions. Death avoidance is now fully formed. This wave is basically as stable as ever. After the pirates retreated, the people on the ship rejoiced as if they had been reborn. At that moment, the identities of Fang Fan and the other three were also exposed. Everyone praised the gods one after another. Many people knelt down in front of Fang Fan and prayed for blessings. I would like to thank the three for their help. If it weren't for the help of the three, I would definitely die. Are the three of you gods like my cousin? The lady straightened her clothes, walked over with her plump body twisting and said.